Well, hello, and welcome to our second QuickBooks Town Hall. I'm Eric Rettig, and I lead small business policy and regulatory affairs for Intuit. You probably recognize Intuit as the maker of QuickBooks, Mint, and TurboTax. Here at QuickBooks, we're dedicated to helping small businesses succeed, in good times and in bad. And in the past several months, we've launched tools like Intuit Aid Assist and the Loan Forgiveness Calculator to bring additional relief to small businesses. But we don't have all the answers, so we turn to experts to bring the most important and up-to-date information to our customers. Our goal with this series is to connect small business owners like you with lawmakers, business leaders, and other experts in the small business space. Today, we're speaking with experts from the U.S. Small Business Administration and America's Small Business Development Centers to find out what the road ahead looks like for small business owners. Of course, we're doing this town hall from all different locations with different internet connections. So bear with us if we have difficulties. We'll do our best to power through it together. Okay, so first, we are pleased to welcome our guest, Alan Gutierrez. He's the Associate Administrator of the Office of Entrepreneurial Development at the Small Business Administration. Thanks for joining us, Alan.
Thank you, Eric. I'm glad to be on with all of you.
Appreciate it. And would you mind telling the audience a bit about your role at the SBA, Alan?
Sure, no, definitely. Certainly for us at SBA, even before COVID and now during COVID, certainly we've always focused on, in my division that we oversee, is the opportunity to have the entrepreneur's dream become a reality. And what I mean by that is in the entrepreneur development arena, we counsel and train and do outreach to help entrepreneurs start, grow, and expand their business. And certainly we couldn't do it by ourselves, and certainly we have strong partnerships, as you mentioned, with small business development centers, nationwide, our women business centers, and our SCORE mentors, to say a few, that really provide that conduit between boots on the ground and with our district directors, also district offices, which are 68 and including the territories across the country. So really a three-legged stool that we're here to help, to partner and help entrepreneurs, again, to start, grow, and expand their business.
That's great. Appreciate the overview, Alan. And now I'd also like to welcome Bill Briggs. He's the Deputy Associate Administrator in the Office of Capital Access over at the SBA. Welcome, Bill.
Thanks, Eric. Thank you for having me today. As you said, I work in the Office of Capital Access at the U.S. Small Business Administration in Washington, D.C. And my job as one of the senior officials in this program office is to help make capital available to small businesses. As any small business owner knows, capital is the lifeblood of the business, and particularly at startups or at all phases of the business, that cash flow and that capital is really crucial to that. So the mission of my office right now is to help small businesses access capital. But more recently, given the COVID situation, it's managing all programmatic and operational details of the Paycheck Protection Program, which many folks on the call may be familiar with. I'm also working with our Office of Disaster Assistance on economic injury disaster loans as well, and serving as a liaison to the lending community about that issue.
Perfect. Thanks, Bill. We really appreciate your and Alan's time joining us from the SBA today. And finally, we're joined by Michelle Abraham. She's the chairperson on the National Board of Directors for America's Small Business Development Centers. Whoa, that's a long title. Michelle, we're happy to have you. And do you mind telling folks a little bit about your role at America's SBDCs?
Sure, it's great to be here. Thank you for including us. As you mentioned, I'm the chair of our National Board of Directors. So we work directly with Alan and other folks at the SBA to make sure at a national level we're providing the top quality services and meeting the needs of those entrepreneurs all over the country. I also serve as the state director for the Small Business Development Centers in South Carolina. And so here I'm involved in direct delivery of those services. Basically, the consulting that Alan mentioned, we offer at no charge on pretty much any issue that a business might have. We like to tell people that we're an extension of your business, like all the big corporations have different departments. we're those departments to a small business. And we also do training and help access other resources for them as well. So just happy to be a part of this and to be able to be reaching out and helping so many small businesses that are struggling through this pandemic.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, Michelle, Alan, Bill, and Michelle. I know SBDCs has been a fantastic partner to Intuit throughout the years. So we just really appreciate you joining today. You know, you're each individually playing a major role in providing relief to small businesses during this difficult time. And it just really means a lot to our team, to our listeners, to our customers to have you all here today. So again, you know, from the bottom of our hearts, just thank you for spending time with us today. And with that, I'd like to move into some warm-up questions. So Bill, let's start with you. Do you mind giving folks on the line an overview of the status of the Paycheck Protection Program, or as we'll refer to it today, the PPP? For example, can business owners still apply for PPP loans? Do you expect more funding to become available?
Sure. So I'll just give a quick summary. I don't want to assume everybody knows what the Paycheck Protection Program is, so I'll spend a minute doing that. As part of the response to the COVID national crisis, Congress passed the CARES Act in March, late March, and one of the provisions in that legislation that the president signed into law created the Paycheck Protection Program. And the idea behind this program was that it would be administered by the U.S. Small Business Administration and help in partnership with over 5,500 lenders and help small businesses pay their employees throughout this for up to an 8-week or now 24 period. And the idea is that the majority of those loans would go to using to cover payroll costs that are identified in the legislation and some additional costs like rent or other small business related costs. And they were allowed to then ultimately, if they used the loan in the appropriate way, it would be forgiven and the borrower would not own anything. It has been a tremendous success thus far. So we kicked that off on April 3rd, and over 5.21 million small businesses and nonprofit organizations have benefited or been supported by this program to the tune of over $525 billion. It has been a phenomenal effort. Intuit has played a role in that as well. I want to thank them for their partnership. And it has really been a key part. One of the things we're focusing on right now, as I mentioned, is that if you're a borrower and you have a PPP loan and you use the loan for the appropriate costs, you can have that loan forgiven. So we are now entering the forgiveness phase where many borrowers are seeking to have their loans forgiven. And so I'm going to talk briefly about that later today, but that is sort of the overview of the Paycheck Protection Program. Right now, the program has expired as of August 8th. Congress passed a law that said we could do funding until August 8th or make approved loans until that point. And right now that has passed. Congress is considering additional stimulus legislation, which would restart and probably enhance the Paycheck Protection Program as well. And so offer small businesses harmed by this COVID situation a more financial assistance going forward. They have yet to do that, but stay tuned. There's a high chance they'll probably do something in September. And so we would encourage all participants to pay attention to the news, particularly as it relates to what Congress and President Trump do with this forthcoming legislation.
That's really helpful. Thanks for that overview, Bill. You know, you mentioned the numbers, that the magnitude of, you know, businesses that have been able to access this program is just phenomenal. So congratulations to you and your fellow colleagues at SBA. Where are these businesses? Are they in all 50 states? Or are they across the country?
They are in all 50 states and 6 territories across the country. There is not a town or zip code in America that has not been supported by the PPP program. And this includes traditionally small business loan programs are not intended for nonprofit organizations and or churches or religious institutions. And so we revised the program to help those types of institutions or organizations that access these funds so that they could benefit and pay their employees as well. Because everyone across the board has been impacted. And really the goal of the program has been to help any type of small business or non-profit organization, including sole props, independent contractors, and self-employed people, benefit from this program because there is an agreed upon consensus with both Congress and this administration that millions of people, through no fault of their own, have been hurt by the COVID national crisis.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Alan, let's go to you. Can you share a little bit about what you're hearing from small business owners about the PPP? For example, do they know they can turn to the SBA for resources and in-person support?
No, yeah, definitely, Eric. Thank you. Certainly for us, we've seen over the last several years prior to COVID a uptick in terms of our resource partners. And when I mentioned resource partners, refer to SBDCs, small women business centers, and SCORE mentors, and other initiatives that we have. And so we've been really constantly working on that strong partnership with Michelle's leadership as chairwoman of the Association for Small Business Development Centers. But as Bill mentioned, with the additional CARES Act funding, my division did get also additional funding for grants. And what I mean by that is we were able to extend those grant opportunities to our resource partners to enable them to expand their resources in both the underserved communities, rural America, to provide the guidance, assistance. And I think, and I don't want to steal Michelle's thunder, but certainly a lot that we saw was in the beginning, obviously, a lot of, I need help, can I do this, where can I go, and so forth. A lot of different from the beginning. And we've seen that transition, in terms of it from guidance to assistance to training and counseling. I would recommend all, if you haven't used it, we certainly don't only want to be your partner for right now. We want you to be the partner for short-term and long-term approach. So I would say the utilization of our 1,200 offices across the country to help you, and even like pivoting too, we're seeing that as well. Individual business owners pivoting and changing their business structure or changing their philosophy of what they want to now do with their business. We're also seeing a lot of influx of individuals saying, you know what, I've had my business for 20, 30 years and now I'm ready to sell, and a business down the street is interested in buying their business to keep that economy spirit and the economy flowing in that local community. So we're seeing a lot of that. I recommend it. Don't hesitate to look at our website at sba.gov /local assistance, and that will give you, in the zip code, you type in all the local resources available, specifically in South Carolina and Michelle's neck of the woods. So I'm giving a plug for her, might as well. But that's what we're here for, really, again, for short-term and long-term approach for all of your customers that are online with us today.
Great, I appreciate that overview, Alan. That's a perfect segue over to Michelle. Michelle, would you mind sharing a little bit about how America's Small Business Development Centers help small businesses out there? You have about 9,000 or so on the line right now.
Well, as Alan said, we're here not only to help you immediately in a crisis, but over the long haul. For as long as you need assistance, we're here to help. So when you look at SBDCs across the country, and that's true of SCORE and women's business centers too, we all try to work together to provide the best, most comprehensive assistance to small businesses as possible. But we have many folks, the majority of our folks have owned small businesses or still do. They go through a lot of specialized training. And so we have a plethora of experts in practically every type of issue that a business might encounter that can help you work through whatever your issues are. As you mentioned, Eric, we've worked with you guys for a long time, and QuickBooks is one of the best programs out there for people to set up good accounting systems. We use that with clients all the time. And certainly now, even with the help of the PPP and the other government and non-government loans and grants that have been made available to clients, it's really essential for a small business out there that you've got your accounting systems in place, that you're really managing effectively your cash flow, all of the financial issues of your business, to not only keep it afloat right now, but to be planning for the long term to be sustainable. So, we've been doing a lot of work like that, and we'll continue with clients. Another thing that we've seen a lot of is that because we're all working remotely, a lot of businesses that have been successful have been able to pivot and redesign their business model so that they're doing either new products, which we've helped them move into, as well as also looking at how how do I market effectively online? So we've helped a lot of folks start to get websites set up or improved to do e-commerce so they can sell their products and services online since they can't be face-to-face with people like we're used to doing. And just really helping them promote their businesses, build awareness, that kind of thing. Another thing that's starting to come up that we're starting to work with people on now is that they've gotten these grants and these loans and they're starting to move forward, but what are the tax implications going to be on that come the end of the year and next year when they have to file for taxes? So we're trying to help them with those kinds of issues too, and help them really anticipate not only, you know, what's out there tomorrow, but what are we going to be facing in 6 months or a year? How do we plan for the future so that we're resilient and we can really sustain and make our businesses thrive over the long haul? So we're here to help. Our folks are very passionate all over the country about really doing what we can to help you and make your jobs easier. And we just encourage you to reach out to any of our groups for assistance.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Michelle. And just briefly, for folks on the call who may not be familiar, are small business development centers also all across the country in all 50 states?
Yes, yes, all the states and its territories. The SBA website has the information for all the contacts, as Alan said. All you really have to do is Google Small Business Development Center or SBDC in the state that you're in, and it's going to come up pretty quickly, and you can find the folks that you're looking for. And that's true of the other resource partners as well.
Perfect, helpful, thank you. Well, all right, so we asked our attendees to submit a question when registering for this town hall, and we received about more than 600 responses over the weekend. So we tried our best to select the questions and feedback that most represent what is on the minds of our small business owners in our QuickBooks community. So we'll begin with QuickBooks customer Tiara Flynn. She's the owner of Some New Marketing. She was able to join us live today. Welcome, Tiara. Tiara, you may be on mute.
There we go. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right. I think you have a question or two for our panelists.
I do. Can I first say thank you all for being here this morning? As Eric stated, I'm a small business owner here in Las Vegas, and we utilize the services of the SBA, SBDC, Nevada Women's Business Center over the past 13 years. So I'm really grateful to those organizations and the programs that they offer. What I wanted to ask was, obviously right now you guys are providing tremendous relief because of the effects of COVID-19 on a lot of small business owners. What can we expect for the future as far as programs and relief and just planning for growth of small business owners, so that way when we are hit with something, I hope this is a once in a lifetime thing that we're hit with, but if we are to be hit with something like this or something unexpected, we're a little bit better prepared.
Sure. Do we want to send that to the SBA team first and then over to Michelle?
Sure, if you don't mind, Eric. A couple things. Great question, Tiara, and thank you very much for all that you do, and certainly we're here to, and glad to hear that you were able to use all our services, and that's what we're here for from that standpoint. A couple things I think that relate to, you know, moving forward, and it was something that we were already working on more than a year ago, is technology and how to maximize SBA and the use of technology for small business owners and entrepreneurs that sometimes are still working for an employer, for example, and have this idea that they want to start and create and come home late at night and continue working on their business plan and so forth. So we've looked at, we were already preparing for technology, and this, what we're soon to roll out is a women digitalization platform that will be available 24/7 for women entrepreneurs specifically, but for all entrepreneurs in that aspect. But we certainly, that's our first phase, but we're certainly going to look forward in the near future of other groups as well to look at and provide that technology. There's also our learning center that we have online as well that we look at as providing additional information for you. So my short answer to you from our standpoint, from the entrepreneur development area, is really how to maximize technology and continue that, because continue the strong partnership with our resource partners too, because really, you know, brick and mortar, boots on the ground is very important as well. And working with all the resource partners and extending and expanding that resources in underserved communities, in rural America, certainly focusing on faith-based, also HBCUs. We've been expanding that very well with these small business development centers. We just added 2 HBCU women business centers. So we're looking at all communities across the country, both locally and then technology from my division.
Great. Do other panelists have anything for Tiara, or Tiara, do you have a follow-up question?
Well, no, that sounds amazing, Alan. As a professional services firm, we were able to pivot, I'm sure, a little bit quicker, but I have friends, like you said, that are restaurant owners and brick and mortar, where they're much like myself, where we have 5 employees, they probably barely have 20. And so the technology is going to be huge for them, being able to pivot and just move with the new normal, because this is going to be, you know, the new normal.
Yeah, you know, I think that is really key. We're all learning going through this. It's certainly unprecedented, and hopefully it won't happen again. But if it does, I think all of us will be much better prepared. And I've been really impressed with the small businesses like you, Tiara, who have just been, you know, just passionate about it, committed to it, doing everything that you can to figure out how to get through this and be better for it. You know, that saying, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger, is so true in this case. And so the technology, certainly, as Alan said, is such a big deal, not only for us to be able to deliver services to a broader audience, but for all the small businesses out there. Really building your technology capability is going to be essential as we move forward. And I think these things like doing more online, you're a marketing firm, so you know that, and, you know, I'm sure you're teaching a lot of people that as well. So, you know, looking at those kinds of things, we reach out to everybody out there. We do a lot of rural work. That's been a little more of a strain, where we're in areas where we don't have good broadband. And so I think some of those kinds of things from an infrastructure standpoint are going to be important to the country moving forward. But just really fueling that innovative spirit and helping people to think out of the box about how we can continue to build and change and pivot our business models so that we can be effective and successful in the future is really going to be the key.
For sure. Yeah. If anything, small business owners are resilient. So I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely.
They are indeed. And thank you so much, Tiara. We really appreciate you joining us today. You know, as Michelle, Alan mentioned, you know, you're the reason why we're all here. So, you know, you inspire us and really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys having me. As I stated, you all are the reason why I'm still here. It's challenging to last past the 3 and 5 and 10 year mark, and we've been in business for 13 years. So I really appreciate the support of the SBA, SBDC, Women's Business Center, and all of the small business organizations and programs over the years, for sure.
Certainly no small feat. Well, congratulations and thanks again. So as I mentioned earlier, we received hundreds of questions from our attendees. So bear in mind that we have thousands of attendees watching live today. Some folks have more insight about the PPP than others. So we did our best to select questions that will be beneficial for everyone. And we plan to address any additional questions through content through the QuickBooks Resource Center. So plan to visit that site after the call today. So, all right, let's go back to our panelists first. There's a lot of confusion still about the loan forgiveness covered period. So especially now that the covered period has been extended. So Bill, this one's coming to you. Could you please clarify for the audience how the covered period works?
Sure. So when the program was originally designed, it was designed that your loan size or your loan calculation was based on 2.5 times your monthly payroll costs. And they identified the payroll cost and associated cover costs, associated costs that could be eligible for forgiveness. And so originally it was over an 8-week period. Well, as this program has evolved and as the national situation has evolved, and Congress has changed the legislation now to allow for an 8-week period or a 24-week period. And so you can kind of choose how you want to spend the funds. That's based on feedback we got from small business owners who say, well, I need the funds, but I don't necessarily need to spend them all right away, or I'd like to spend them over a longer time. And so depending on your covered period, the length of it, you could then choose to go back to your lender and apply for forgiveness. So that is one thing, is that when you apply for forgiveness, regardless of your covered period, you're going to be working with your lender to do that, just like how you applied for the loan. Secondly, if you spend your money, let's say you spend it only in 12 weeks, right? And then you don't want to wait around for 24 weeks. If you're confident that you have used most of the funds for the appropriate covered expenses and you expect full forgiveness because you have not reduced employees or changed wages, then you can work with your lender to go ahead and apply for forgiveness doing that. Also, too, there are 2 forgiveness forms. There's a forgiveness EZ form. That's especially helpful for sole prop, self-employed, and independent contractors who are confident that they used their loan proceeds for the appropriate purposes and that the loan should be very forgiven and don't have a lot of paperwork. So that is sort of the covered period. It's sort of the ability of the small business borrower to choose how they're going to pay for their funds or how they're going to spend down that loan proceeds over a certain covered period.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you. And I know we have a couple questions in a moment on a couple of those topics you hit on, but it gets to another question we had for some business owners that received a PPP loan during the first round of funding. The covered period has already ended. So
Yes.
Does the FLEX Act apply to these businesses as well?
If they have already used, I'm going to make an example. If they have already used, say they got a $50,000 PPP loan, the average PPP loan size is $100,000, but I'm just going to go with this example. And they have spent or used the money to pay their employees over an 8-week period, and the money is no longer there, but they're still facing hardship. This is what Congress is debating right now, and I understand that people sometimes might be hesitant to engage their members of Congress, but having worked in Washington, D.C. for over 2 decades, it really does matter when small business borrowers weigh in with their members of Congress and say, we could really benefit from another round of legislation or another round, or the ability to go back and increase our loans or get a second draw on our loan to cover, because we didn't anticipate this going on for this long, and we are still have economic need and are suffering from this situation. So right now, the ball is a little bit in Congress's hands, and we encourage you, the members of Congress are home right now, to engage them over the coming weeks so that when they come back to Washington in September, they're ready to move forward on helping small business.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. And I think I heard you said this, but we have a question on it, so just want to clarify. So will the SBA allow for additional PPP funding for small businesses that already received a PPP loan that have already used those funds?
So the rules of PPP are only you can get right now 1 PPP loan. And after you received your loan, you're not able to increase it. At that time, this is the current situation, and I really want to stress this point. Just as Michelle said earlier, this whole situation is an emerging situation. SBA has never faced a pandemic, so we have been learning ourselves and adapting to the situation as well. And so it is very possible that the rules of the game can change to be more favorable to small business borrowers, recognizing their economic need, and that they might be able to go back and get additional money, get an increase and or a second loan should Congress change the law. I can't promise something is going to happen, but I know there has been extensive discussion about this. If you read the press through a series of different outlets, it's very obvious that Congress is looking at helping small businesses in discussion with other aspects of providing assistance to Americans throughout the country.
Super helpful. Thank you, Bill. Michelle, let's go to you. Attendees would love to know what you and your fellow SBDC counselors are seeing out there in the field. For example, are folks starting new businesses, or what kind of support are these new business owners asking for right now? I know you touched briefly on that earlier, but would love to dive into that.
Well, interestingly, over the last several weeks, we've seen a significant uptick in people coming to us wanting help with starting a new business. It's a little bit, it goes against the intuitive nature of what you would think in a time like this, not necessarily the best time to start a business, but it also offers opportunities for certain types of new businesses. And there are people who have lost their jobs due to COVID, or who have just decided this is a great time for me to step out and try to enter, the entrepreneurship arena myself. So yes, we are seeing quite a bit of that. The types of businesses are really all over the board. A lot of online type businesses, certainly. And I think we're going to continue to see that as we move forward. So when we have somebody come to us that's looking to start a business, we go through the whole gamut with them: market research, helping them understand what the potential market is, what the competition is, putting together a good, solid business plan so they have a clear path and strategy of how they're going to build their business. We help them with applying for loans and any kind of capital. That's one of the big things actually we do. We work with all the lenders, traditional and non-traditional, all over the country. So, in every state and territory, we cover the entire geography. So we know all the lenders, we know what programs are out there, so we can help people understand what those lenders are for, what the criteria is, how to put in a good application, that kind of thing. But, helping them get websites set up, helping them just figure out how do I enter the marketplace, putting a good QuickBooks system in place, a good accounting system, getting a good attorney and a CPA, at least on a contract basis, so that they've got those kinds of experts to rely upon. So pretty much A to Z, we'll help them with everything they need to get started.
That's really interesting. And you're actually seeing more folks coming in for whatever reason. We know times are tough right now, but they're actually interested in starting businesses at a higher rate. That's really interesting. And do you think it sounds like digital tools are playing a big role there. And it sounds like folks have a lot of questions about what digital tools to use.
Yes, absolutely. And again, the business ideas are all over the board, and that's what entrepreneurship is really all about, right? It's innovation. It's people looking at the current situation, which we've never encountered before, and figuring out what can I bring to bear that the market needs or is going to need as a result of what has changed. So there's a lot of great ideas, and we try to help folks work through that so that, if they're going to put their life savings into a business, that they're confident that it's a business concept that's going to work, and that they can build it and make it grow and make a living from it.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And before I go back to the SBA, Michelle, do you have any advice for small businesses trying to maintain their cash flow during the pandemic?
Well, in general, really making sure that you're organized, that you know where your money is, that you're watching it very carefully, that you're looking at where your expenses are. And in a time like this is a perfect time to be looking at where can I create cost savings, working with your vendors, working with other people that you work with to modify payment terms, look at trying to get some volume discounts, changing, what those requirements are. We've talked a lot with folks about as they've been going through the worst part of this, dealing with landlords and, making sure that they're talking to their bankers, their lenders, so that nothing is a surprise, and that they're being proactive with figuring out how to manage their money most effectively and make it stretch while they, look at how to keep the sales going and the money coming in. So there's a lot of techniques that we can walk people through on an individual basis, depending on their specific situation.
Yeah, it's really helpful. I know our listeners appreciate that advice. Thanks, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, let's go back to you and Alan here. will small businesses be able to request additional economic injury disaster loan funding or EIDL? And is there a chance that EIDL loans will be forgiven? I know that a lot of folks on the call today asked questions about EIDL advance, for example.
Yeah, so I quickly want to, I'm looking through some of the Q&A questions, and to the extent I can, I will try to answer some of them as much as possible. There's obviously hundreds of questions. I want to briefly explain PPP is over here, EIDL is over here. PPP, if you think about, it's for payroll costs and some other additional small business costs. And EIDL can be used for payroll costs, but it can also be used for operating expenses and other non-payroll costs. And so traditionally when there's a disaster, that is our economic injury loan. When there's a hurricane or something, SBA goes hand in hand with FEMA to that, and they do economic injury disaster loans. Where they meet is that sometimes small businesses may have gotten an EIDL advance. So I'm going to give an example. If you are a self-employed or independent contractor, you got a $10,000 loan from Intuit, and then you also got $1,000. You applied to SBA, and you got your $1,000 EIDL advance, and now you're going to apply for forgiveness. You will have to subtract your EIDL advance from that forgiveness amount, and therefore you will have a $1,000 account balance over. That is to prevent double dipping. We understand that this may be raising concerns for small business borrowers, and Congress too has the ability to kind of address this issue as well. But that's where I'm seeing a lot about EIDL and PPP in the Q&A, so I just want to quickly talk about that. There's also too, again, as part of forthcoming stimulation, there may be an increase in the EIDL amounts, both in the amount that a small business can receive, the ability to go back. I have not heard yet of an EIDL loan being forgiven. Generally, they have much longer terms, up to 30 years and all of that. So we'll see what happens with the legislation. Again, as I said, both the EIDL program and PPP continue to evolve, and that includes legislative changes. So we will have to see what happens. But I understand that both with second loans on PPP or more EIDL funds, people really are curious about what's happening. And a lot of this will depend on what Congress does in September.
Helpful, thank you. And both Alan and Bill, feel free to answer this one. Can you share what the SBA is doing to help self-employed workers and sole proprietors who don't have employees? I think Bill touched on this a little bit earlier, but we're getting a lot of questions from folks who are self-employed.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can tackle a little bit about that and piggyback of what Bill had mentioned in terms of, current assistance during the COVID-19 through SBA. But I think the other part too, as Michelle has mentioned and I've mentioned, is to really, we really encourage all of your members to maximize and use the availability of the resource partners. I think that is really a key point. In short-term and long-term perspective, and especially if you're in the beginning stages too, or have been around for a little bit, that they can really help you and guide you and maneuver you in some of the upcoming, potential pitfalls or opportunities in that aspect. The other thing I wanted to remind everybody too, not only, encourage you all to continue to stay in touch with us through SBA and our different Twitter feeds and so forth, but also with your local resource partners. And there's also an additional website that has been created with certainly, your members get real-time information from you, Eric, and Intuit. But I also encourage you, all of them, and you can share this maybe in a later tweet to them, is www.covid/ hyphen S as in Sam, B as in boy, or S as in small, and B as in business.org. And that's an additional website available for real time as well, that is being part of the CARES Act, that is part of the association that Michelle's part as a chairwoman, and also the Association of Women Business Centers that's available for all your members as well. So there's a two-prong approach to always stay in touch on the latest information or decisions that are made in Congress or interim rules, because we also, as Bill's office, there's different updates and information that's sent out to the lending institution, to you as Intuit as well. We also disseminate that to all the resource partners so they can have that readily available when they get calls or outreach from the small businesses on questions.
Great, that's really helpful. And Bill, do you have any follow-up on resources or self-employed folks? Are asking a lot of questions about PPP versus EIDL as well.
Yeah, so I think part of why we wanted to do this webinar, particularly within Intuit, is their ability to reach the self-employed, independent contractor or sole prop community in particular. A lot of small business who may only have no employees or a handful of employees. We wanted to make sure that we were trying to provide as much guidance as possible and also awareness of resources. So obviously there is the economic injury disaster loan EIDL as well as PPP. And I want to be very clear that sole props and self-employed and independent contractors, if Congress restarts PPP, can apply and should apply. EIDL, they can do that right now if they are part of that. But this is an important part, and particularly to the forgiveness process. I want to make sure that they understand too that they will continue to work with their lender, if their lender's Intuit or another lender, to get that loan forgiven. That is a process. It is a longer term process. The lender has 60 days to review the forgiveness application, and then SBA has up to 90 days to review that after the lender submits it to SBA. So it's a more longer drawn out process for forgiveness. And that makes sense because it's protecting taxpayer funds to ensure that we're not spending or giving money to fraudulent actors or people who really don't deserve the benefits of those loans being forgiven. But there's a balance between trying to help small businesses, protecting taxpayer funds, and also making sure we're helping the smallest of the smallest businesses out there.
Thanks for that, Bill. Yeah, that's really helpful, especially for Intuit. Majority of our customers have fewer than 10 employees on the small business side. So that's really helpful. I know we're coming up on time here, so I'll ask the panelists a quick round the horn here. What's the most important thing for small businesses to do for long-term survival and growth? And then we'll close it out. Michelle?
If you like, go ahead, Michelle.
I would say use the resources that are available to you, number one. A lot of people don't do that, but you should know that if any of us work with you, what we do with you is completely confidential. The SBDCs all sign a confidentiality agreement with a client right up front. So, know that you're getting help that nobody else is going to be aware of unless you choose to share that information. Make sure that you understand, your financials yourself. Don't rely on somebody else to do that. And just continue to be innovative. Watch what's going on in the marketplace and look for opportunities to grow and diversify and expand your business.
Thanks, Michelle. And Alan, any parting advice for our listeners?
Sure. Again, thank you for the opportunity. I would say two things. One, on the proactive approach, like we mentioned, we want to be your short and long-term partner, and as well as a resource partner. So we want to see your success stories. We want to see you be the international global company in the future. That's what we'd love and strive to see. And we have a lot of testimony on that. A lot of companies that started very small in the garage, and now they're, global companies, and they started with SBA and with the resource partners help and assistance in that aspect. So continue to, we're here, we're available, and we want to be your long-term partner. Second of all, and this is something that we've been sending out recently, this last week and so forth, is the scams, unfortunately, these predators, these different individuals that are trying to take advantage of small businesses and sole proprietors and so forth. So please, be aware of that. If it's something that's too good to be true, don't submit your information online. Don't put your social security number. Don't give all that information saying that they're going to help you and get you an SBA loan or get you an SBA this or so forth. So I wanted to take this opportunity and let all your members to be very cognizant of that and be careful, because we're seeing a lot of the uptick on that, unfortunately, of individuals or taking advantage of the current situation. So that's my second thing I wanted to say.
Thank you, Alan. Appreciate it. And Bill, any parting advice for our customers?
Yeah, listen, if your life has been anything like Alan or mine or Michelle's life the last 6 months, there's been a lot of long weeks and exhaustion. And it's hard to remember that we will get through this. And part of why we wanted to do this today was to let you know about obviously financial assistance, but also technical assistance, small business counseling, and their resources are available to you. We used to joke a while back last year that SBA was one of the best kept secrets in the federal government. Most people didn't even pronounce our name right. And I think we've solved that problem of the awareness of SBA, but now we want to make sure that people are aware of what we do. And echoing on that, SBA.gov is a great resource. It is a trusted resource. Please note that in order to avoid scams, .gov websites are your best bet, followed by the SBDCs and all of that. But if trusted resources are really important for both factual information about what's going on with both the EIDL and PPP programs, as well as what Congress may do. So congress.gov or something like that. But .gov resources are the most trustworthy.
Well, that's great advice. And thank you all for those insightful answers. You know, as I said before, we don't have time in this town hall to answer all of the questions we received, but I want to let all the attendees know that we appreciate your questions and they help us focus on the things that you need to understand about the PPP and also help us figure out how we can make the experience better for you. So thank you again to Alan, Bill, and Michelle, and for taking the time out of your days to be with us today. On behalf of our small business customers, thank you so much. I'd encourage folks to visit the QuickBooks Small Business Help site to stay up to date on solutions to help small businesses navigate the PPP. So thank you to all of our guests today. We really appreciate it and have a great day.